Have temps, cheap sauce, or that one thing that isn't even listed. If you really want to enjoy your next restaurant steak, here's what to avoid asking for, unless you want an extra side of eye roll with your order. You might already be aware that steak can be cooked to several different temperatures, including rare, medium, medium well, and well done.
Oh, Lily, honey, how do you like your steak?
Oh, medium's fine.
Some restaurants even offer blue, which is the least cooked that a steak can be ordered, apart from being completely raw. Yet there's another word that diners may use when ordering steak that's typically not well received at restaurants, and that word is plus. Ordering a steak temperature plus is essentially requesting it to be cooked just a tad over a certain temperature. For example, asking for a steak to be cooked medium rare plus means a little more cooked than medium rare, but not cooked quite medium. Not only is this pretty much pointless, as a medium rare plus steak is basically just medium, but it's bound to trigger frustration from servers and cooks. Just keep it simple and select one of the 5 main temperatures that everyone else requests. For the uninitiated, steak tartare is basically just minced, high-quality raw beef. While open to interpretation, the dish is often eaten with crostini or crispy chips and typically features a raw egg yolk along with some herbs for extra color and flavor. Tartare often gets drizzled with something acidic like fresh lemon juice and is mixed with capers, diced green onions, or chopped chili peppers. The end result is rich, tender, and a little tangy, depending on what's added. Tartare is prepared with raw beef, and it's meant to be eaten that way. When diners ask servers for cooked beef tartare, it's like asking for cooked sashimi at a sushi restaurant. You'll get some confused looks, and your request will most likely be denied. If you're squeamish about consuming raw beef, that's totally fine. But if that's the case, you should probably just avoid ordering tartare altogether and stick to a cheeseburger or something else that's going to actually get cooked on the grill. Whether due to unexpected emergencies or just poor time management, we all have those days when we're in a rush. That said, generally speaking, we can't expect others to cater to our dilemma, especially when we're ordering at a restaurant. At the end of the day, claiming to be in a rush doesn't entitle anyone to preferential treatment over other diners and customers. And considering that steak takes more time to prepare compared to smaller menu items, it also doesn't really make much sense to order it if you're truly pressed for time.
Was that a sigh?
Oh, God.
No, senora.
Well, it sounded like a sigh. Am I annoying you in some way, hun?
Telling a restaurant that you're in a rush implies that you want your order prioritized over those of other guests, which is a good way to offend just about everyone around you. If you're in a hurry, then your food order should reflect that. Instead of a steak, order something that's quick to prepare, like a simple salad or a sandwich. Expecting the kitchen to give your food preferential treatment and rush you out an order of steak reeks of self-importance. It's not just inconsiderate, it's also unrealistic. Cooking a thick cut of meat that often comes with several sides takes time, not to mention the rest time that meat needs after cooking. It should be understood that asking for a single steak to be divided into multiple pieces and then cooked at different temperatures is an unreasonable ask. It's not very cost-effective for a restaurant to divvy up an expensive single cut of steak and prepare it in different ways, all for a single price. If you want 2 different temperatures for your steak, then you should order 2 steaks. If that sounds like too much food, then pick the temperature that you most prefer. At the end of the day, if you really have these kinds of preferences, it may be best to just buy your own steaks from a butcher or grocery store and prepare them however you'd like at home. But expecting a restaurant to cut you a deal like this on a single steak is a bit absurd, and it's bound to get you some eye rolls. We all have different tastes when it comes to food, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone's free to have their own preferences, and there's nothing wrong with eating food that's been prepared the way that you like it. After all, food is meant to be enjoyed. That said, there's something particularly odd about ordering a high-quality cut of steak cooked well done. When steak is cooked well done, the beef tends to be tougher and chewier, having lost much of its tenderness from being cooked for a longer period of time. If you really enjoy well-done beef, it's a lot cheaper to order a cheeseburger than to order a steak. It's a little difficult to wrap our heads around the concept of ordering an expensive cut of meat that's been charred to oblivion, but to each their own. Sometimes steak comes with a sauce, like a béarnaise, but at a nice steakhouse, it's generally frowned upon to slather a good steak with ketchup or a grocery store sauce like A1, which will overpower the taste of the steak and mask the nuances of the marbling. Because A1 is mostly made with tomato puree, vinegar, corn syrup, and salt, it has an intense flavor that dominates everything it touches. It's more common to see A1 used on cheaper cuts of steak that are a little tougher and less flavorful. So while it may be normal to use something like A1 on bargain steaks at home, a steakhouse may be borderline insulted at the notion of their high-end steaks getting slathered in it. It's probably best to leave that kind of stuff in your own kitchen. Believe it or not, rather than ordering from the steaks on the menu, some diners inquire about steaks that aren't even listed.
Yes, I'd like a female-prepared tempeh steak with
truffle sauce.
While it's commonplace for restaurants to run limited time specials to test out new recipes with diners, it's nearly unheard of for restaurants to keep a secret stash of food that's completely unadvertised. Very rarely will a restaurant invest in buying meat that it's not openly selling to customers. Rather than asking for something that's not on the menu, it's a much better idea to ask if there are any specials that day. Specials may be written on separate boards throughout the restaurant, but may not be printed in the regular menu. Better yet, if you're craving a particular cut of steak, do some menu research ahead of time and seek out a restaurant that serves it.